On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we're discussing Lower Decks 405, Empathalogical Fallacies. That's hard to say. Right after very short treks, Holograms all the way down, and these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where we sit down and chat about the Star Trek universe. Me and my good old buddy Dave.
Hey!
What's up, bud?
What's going on?
You came in hot. You came in with some energy. Like, I don't know if the audience can tell. I know you gave like a "what's up," but you're bouncing in the Zoom window. You're like night at the Roxburying with your neck. I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know why I'm doing that.
I like it. I appreciate your gyrations.
Yeah,
Commence the jiggling, as they say.
Commence the jiggling, y'all.
Okay, so real quickly, let's touch on this shorter treks. What's it called? Very short treks?
Very short treks, yes.
Hologram
all the way down.
I think I would have preferred shorter treks.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
I would have preferred they not exist.
Yeah,
but
I gotta say though, favorite one.
Yep, me too.
Favorite one. It just
this
wasn't
was fun. There wasn't anything to it.
There wasn't anything to it. There was almost no joke. Like, it really wasn't much of a joke. I liked it when it showed Neelix at the very end, like, putting his little thing down. It was very much felt like this entire thing had been brought to you by TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Like each swipe was a new, like, layer of the hologram. I'm going to stop watching these silly stories and go to sleep.
Yeah, I liked it because of because of how popular simulation theory has become in the last few years. But I don't know. I really enjoy like constant, never-ending, version of the last episode of Enterprise.
Yeah. I wish they'd make more sense though. When they cut to them talking, and then they were like, "That's how we got them into the Romulan War." I was like, "What? That doesn't make any it's so stupid. I should not be looking for logic in these at all." But it's still that's why I don't like that it's Star Trek. I don't like that it's Star Trek. I wish this was just like some weird series that they gave license to, which I guess is kind of what it is.
That's what it is. They said it's non-canon.
It's not
they were
canon.
very clear.
I know. Yeah. And again, this doesn't fit into canon at all in any way. It doesn't have any logical sense. It jumps back and forth in time. It's just a whole, roll of madness. But I did enjoy it more than most.
Mm-hmm. It
more
was
than all the others.
tamest.
Yeah, it was the tamest. So what does that say about me?
You're a basic bitch.
Get me my pumpkin spice, baby.
Ugg boots.
Ugg boots and pumpkin spice. I need some furry fuzz on my ankles.
As if you don't have it already.
Well, I've actually got dogs wrapped around my ankles right now, so I kind of do.
My God. What do you have dogs wrapped around your ankles?
I murdered a bunch of dogs.
That's what I was thinking. Just going around your neighborhood, slitting dog throats and wrapping them around your ankles.
All right. I want to... So, this is funny. This is a little bit of a funny story. When I and my lover first met, and we were getting together. We had gotten together, and we were like hanging out and like doing the cuddle down thing. And she's just laying up against me, and she said, "I just want to like cut you open and climb inside." And I was like, "Don't tauntaun me." And her, not being a nerd, didn't know what a tauntaun was. And I was like, "It's in Star Wars. It's like they get it. They climb inside the animal to survive." And she was like, and then she started for like the next 3 months saying she wanted to tauntaun me. And so like she just picked up on it and used tauntaun. And then finally we talked about it, and I was like, "Yeah, it's terrifying when you say you're going to tauntaun me." She's like, "Why?" She's like, "You're like that animal in Star Wars." And I was like, no, they murder the animal and get inside it. And she was like, oh, no, I didn't know it died. And I was like, it's like, I said they cut it open and climbed inside. And she was like, I don't know, it's science fiction. I thought it was like a welcoming creature. Anyway. It was pretty good.
Oh god, oh my god.
So then she was like, she was like horrified that for months she'd been talking about murdering me every time she said she wanted a tauntaun. Yeah, pretty good.
She's like, I'm just gonna gut your ass and climb inside you.
I was like, I mean, I get it. She just has a weird sense of humor. It's fine. I don't mind it. She didn't even know how dark she was being. Okay, so that's our interstitial there to move from very short treks to lower decks. It just also, let me just say, I know it's the 50th anniversary of the animation.
Yeah,
but like, it feels like they should have planned differently than to have that come out at the same time as Lower Decks.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like, is this all Star Trek is right now? Is just a comedy show, which feels weird. And then it also makes me compare the two, and I like Lower Decks so much more that it makes this look even worse in comparison, because they're, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, I did enjoy that they included Prodigy at least.
Me too. It was weird that they weren't going to animate them because they don't have that technology, these animators, so they brought them in as like stick figures. Mostly stood still the entire time.
They could have just drawn them. They did, whatever.
Yeah, they could have, but they didn't. I kind of liked what they did, honestly.
It
was weird. It was weird, but like, whatever. It was like showing that they were a different kind of animation, but like not actually animating it the way they animated it. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's talk about Lower Decks. That's what I would get to.
Cool.
The good old Betazoid intelligence agency.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
I wasn't a huge fan of this episode. It was okay. And I liked T'Lyn, Gabriel Ruiz from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. That's where I know her from. She does T'Lyn. And she did a really good job. I like that they went pretty dark with her character.
Mm-hmm.
Because it sounds, unless they kind of go back and say this isn't a thing, it looks like they diagnosed her with early onset freaking dementia, basically.
I would not say that's true. I thought that too at first, but then she says something like, we have a disease like this. So basically, I think all she's saying is their brains are capable of that sort of projection. And so but that doesn't happen till later in life. She's having something else that's causing a similar effect, is what she says. Now, they could continue on and say that she has Bendai, but like she does not. She specifically avoids saying that she has Bendai. They say she is doing those projections because of her emotional state.
Yeah, but
which is weird.
Then Mariner was like, I believe Mariner says you have the Bendy syndrome, and Spock's father had it, and he was Vulcan as a mother. So
yeah, well, she was saying that. I agree. It's possible. It's possible. I don't think they clearly say one way or the other. But it is possible that she has Bendai syndrome. But I don't think if it were Bendai, I don't think she could just like stop having it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which means she'd be doing this projection all the time. You may be right, but I think they were just saying that like they were using the Bendai syndrome as a way of like saying that her brains are capable of that, and then saying she got there a different way, I think. But I don't know. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I'm trying to find the three actresses who played the BIA agents.
Oh, it's Janelle James, Rachel Dratch, and Wendy Malick.
Okay, I don't know Janelle James. I haven't seen that show. But I could not place Rachel Dratch like for the life of me. And like I knew that I knew the voice, and I just could not place it. But as soon as you say it's Rachel Dratch, I'm like, oh, of course.
Dude, Bethany always knows it's Rachel Dratch. Whenever Rachel Dratch is in something like on a voiceover thing, like Bethany will be like, oh, that's Rachel Dratch. I'm like, what? How can you tell? I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't tell at all, but I love catching a voice actor. Partially, it's my brain is so audio based. Like I take in information audio. Like if I meet someone and they don't talk, sometimes they don't feel like the same person to me. Like So sometimes I like being able to figure out who someone is, and so when I couldn't, it was very frustrating for me.
Yeah, I had to look it up because like Wendy Malick is the only one I got.
Okay. Yeah, I knew Wendy Malick, that me too, basically. And I knew Rachel Dratch was someone I knew, but I could not place it. I was like, who is that? That is a voice I know.
Mm-hmm. That's usually where I go with it with Rachel Dratch. I'm just like, I kind of know that voice. That sounds like a voice I know.
Yeah. I dug this episode. It was a lot of fun. I agree, even if they didn't go with Bendai syndrome, which I don't know, I think they did, like, just have a good heart-to-heart with Mariner and her like, dealing with her, like, I don't know, sort of imposter syndrome about being a Vulcan. And I just really enjoyed the supportive nature of Mariner talking to her and like convincing her she needed to, like, no, your Vulcan is a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. And like, it's by the transitive property, I also am Vulcan as a motherfucker. That was good stuff, man. I enjoyed it.
I like they had like a couple little things in there. Like one of the things I noticed that tied in thematically with her emotional issues was in her quarters. They showed a shot from Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the director's cut, where it was like those giant Vulcans, like the Vulcan statues on Vulcan during Spock's Kolinar ritual ceremony. Mm-hmm. And that was a nice little like, oh, okay, because that was where he was trying to purge all emotions and was emotionally compromised. And they were showing that at the very beginning. So I'm like, oh, that was a little foreshadowing, showing that like, nope, she's emotionally compromised. Something's happening.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, she's definitely, like, it's just interesting to hear her feel like she needs to be more like something else, like more like her society is telling her to be. And it's a type of storyline I always connect with and think is really nice when people just learn to be themselves. And I feel like we're getting a lot of stories like that in media these days. It's just like, just be who you are. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the biggest stories right now are that in one form or another. And I dig it.
Unless you're conservative and hate queers. That's a bad thing to be.
Yeah, for sure. But that's it. That's literally like, that means you're brainwashed. Sorry. If you're one of those people, you are. Yeah. You're brainwashed. You've been raised in a way that has taught you to hate others for being who they are. That's not being who you are. That's hating others for who they are. Yeah. Which is the opposite of the kind of thing these things are teaching. What do you think of Boimler's storyline?
I thought it was fine. I enjoyed the idea of the security team trying to like make you more mentally secure. Mm-hmm. That was fun. It seems like they do a better job of that than Meagly Moo, because he's the counselor on the ship.
Yeah. Yep, that's very true.
Like, let's do this. Let's do this Star Trek Enterprise puzzle and play with
I will
cards.
say there's a different thing. A therapist is a different place in your life than friends do. Sometimes those roles can intersect a bit, but like, therapist is more about analyzing and figuring out what you need to do and blah blah blah, like, and working through things. But like, sometimes you just need the support and like the camaraderie that comes with that sort of like friendship, and you know, whatever.
Well, he's got friends. He just doesn't like relax around them. The only way he was willing to do this was because he thought it was some sort of training.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So yeah, I don't know. It was fun, but I don't know. I liked the episode, but I feel like I didn't really care. Like the Betazoid ladies were fun, but I liked how they kind of tied in with that ship that's been destroying everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're really. We haven't seen this before. We've seen overarching plots happen, but we haven't seen every episode be so driven into like a overall overarching thing like this, and I really like it. I'm excited about it.
But it didn't really feel like it was until the very end, where it was like, by the way, here's a picture of a ship.
Yeah, they're doing the old burn notice.
Yeah. Ye old burn notice.
Mm-hmm. Pulling a burn notice.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I liked the poem about Worf.
Yeah. I really liked Ransom trying to get the Betazoids to cavort with him. They're like, oh no, I like it more hard to get. And he's like, no, give me a second chance. I can be distant and unavailable. It's just a good joke. It's just a good joke. Like classic, like inversion or whatever. I dig it.
See, I liked later on when he was in the bar and he was like, she just shrugged me off. Can't you not see these gains?
Yeah, and also like just his overall thing where he's like weeping at the end is very funny because it's like his whole deal is being the big strong guy, but clearly his emotions are weak and like has a lot of like insecurity. So when these emotion amplifier happens of T'Lyn, he's like falling in the floor crying, and that's his main reaction to what's going on. Pretty funny and revealing of our buddy Ransom there.
Yeah, I thought it was great to see all of the different people sort of having their. It was like they did the Naked Time. Where they were all just sort of like their inner emotions were just coming out, and
I like
that.
Getting everybody's sort of the core of them, and I really liked that Miggly Moo just like went off and he office spaced a replicator
because it couldn't make soup that tasted like it came from his mother's mouth.
This barely even tastes like it came from my mother's mouth.
I liked the bit. I liked the little joke that where Mariner was like, "Why is everyone acting crazy and screaming?" And T'Lyn's like, "Everyone on the ship is always doing this. Like everyone's always screaming on this ship."
I can't tell the difference between this and your normal level. That was really funny.
Yeah,
a joke I loved, and it's just another like classic thing. Is they did the classic like time to mount up thing where they zoomed in on showed them preparing for battle of the security officers, and Boimler narrated it. He was like, phasers? Bigger phasers or big phasers?
Yeah.
That's just classic. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that was fun.
As T'Lyn, we need to take them to see the doctor, and it cut over to the doctor, and T'Lyn's like, I am unsure of her efficacy, because she's like running in circles and scratching the carpet and shit.
Yeah. I love that she was like just planning at the height of her emotional instability, the doctor was planning on eating the Betazoid women.
Oh, right.
She said something about like
artificial Betazoid women. Or I only eat artificial Betazoids.
Right. Synthetic Betazoids. But at the end, she was like, she said something about slicing those juicy morsels up or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh, and another great one was Shax running into the bridge saying, prepare to resist occupation!
Yep. That was a good line.
Lower Decks is very much like, a lot of it is like, at its core, just like stereotyping a bunch of the aliens on the show, which is just a lot of fun since it's like a fantasy world, you know?
I feel like it's not even just like stereotyping the aliens. They very heartily stereotype the archetypes.
Yeah.
The Star Trek archetypes. And I'd like that. Like, Shax is very much a Worf character.
Yeah, well, there's that. They do the archetypal character thing, but they also like have them just do things that are very aligned with their race. Within, like him yelling, "Prepare to resist occupation" is just like, oh, yep, he's a Bajoran, all right.
Yeah. But it also to me sounded like Worf saying "assimilate this" or something.
Like, for sure.
It was just like they plug it into the appropriate race at times. I really liked the Tamaranian guy whose name I can never remember doing the charades, and Boimler's like, it's Odo on DS9.
Oh yeah, he's like doing the dive into a bucket thing. He's like standing over the mop bucket trying to like he's diving in. It's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, he does like some little like slither to the ground stuff. It's good. It was really good. I really liked Mariner being like, I just hate this. There's this problem that I can't kick. It's one of those rare problems that can't be kicked. Good stuff. And of course, the very ending, the last bit of the show, the Romulans like they stopped.
Oh my god!
They started. They're like, "What did you expect?" And he's like, "Move to these coordinates. We'll lurk over there."
Yep. It just cracked me up that they like got so close to the neutral zone and turned, and then like the Romulan ship decloaks, and the Romulans all go, "Aww."
Yeah, so poised for war.
Because it very much like on normal live action Star Trek, every time they get close to the neutral zone, there's always a freaking Romulan ship decloaking and being like, "Mind your place."
Yeah. They're like always just waiting along the border there.
They'll just hang out. Like, mind your place, taint washer. It's from Rick and Morty.
Oh. Do not recall that.
Some dude who has a boy to wash his testicles and a boy to wash his taint. And is threatening the one not to touch the other. Like, do not touch my taint, testicle washer. Mind your place, taint washer. Just, it was dumb. He got killed real good.
Of course he did. What a weird show. All right. Well, that's all I got. That's all I got. You got some feedback?
We do. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Timothy Castillo sends in a letter, an email. Says, a knife in the shoulder beats two in the bush. That's the subject there. Says, guys, I haven't written in a while, but I've been listening. Very short treks are definitely not the best, but I think the response has been oddly critical. I'm not exactly saying I like them. But hey, comedy is harder than drama, right? I mean, the last one did make me laugh at the microwaved fish part. That was a real problem at one of my past jobs, and certain food was actually banned from our office. And it might be branded Star Trek, but it's not canon, so I don't know. Why care, I guess? I can't even find them on Paramount Plus. I can only find them on YouTube, so official Star Trek still feels like a mislabel to me. Well, you can't find Prodigy on Paramount Plus, Tim. Tim continues, this also makes me extremely annoyed at the Prodigy situation. Oh, there you go. I think what is stupid is that if they don't feel strongly enough to have a property, about a property to have it as canon, jeez, then why even greenlight it? I would definitely prefer more actual short treks, a majority of which have been real treats, like a scallop. I'm bummed we haven't gotten more, and as of now, it seems like we won't get more either. Anyway, last week's episode of Lower Decks was one of my favorite ones this season. You guys said it was full of stupidity, but I think it was actually one of the smartest ones because it didn't rely very heavily on blatant spoken references to other things in canon, and it built new canon that wasn't just completely joke-related or purely for laughs like a lot of Lower Decks. The Koala and Badgie are great, but they are definitely made for laughs. I think this episode is smart because they have a well-written A-plot that is a good story and doesn't live or die on being a good gag. Tendi hiding her assassin history doesn't need to be played for laughs, and it could be a story in any Star Trek, but it just happens to be filled with comedy material on this series. I think Lower Decks is best when this is the case. And then also, like many Star Trek episodes, it has a weird, unrelated B-plot. And in this case, it has something that could probably only work on this series, although it does remind me of the silly holocapades of Data and Geordi by Sharon O'Brien and Paris and Harry. Solid episode all round. Honestly, I don't remember saying that I thought that episode was stupid. I really liked the Tendi stuff.
I did too. We did say it was stupid. We said that the B plot was incredibly stupid, but in a way that we really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hope that didn't come across wrong, because I think we both really liked that episode, but
yeah,
I just thought there were some really stupid moments in it, particularly the whole B plot with the
Boimler and the Mark Twain. And
Mark Twain.
Rutherford.
Mark Twain section was dumb. It was so dumb, but I said this on when we recorded on it. It was so dumb, but I really enjoyed it. It was just dumb logic. There just didn't fit. There was no way that would happen. It was so dumb in so many ways. The characters are making dumb decisions to listen to Boimler and Rutherford, but I liked it. It was really funny. It was silly in a way that I liked.
I do think that, being a stupid character can help you resolve issues and without getting angry, it helps you say stuff that you don't want to say, or, push past conflict and stuff, or especially if you're really into something together, like Mark Twain. I think that makes sense. The part that didn't make sense to me is the captain and the alien dude who I can never remember that species. The Nausicaan adjacent is I just didn't buy that they would do it too. That was my thing.
Yeah, me too. That's what I mean. Them bringing that idea to the captain was dumb. Then them going through it was dumb, and then getting as far as it did was dumb. But that's the beauty of the show. I don't mind that logic at all. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Tim continues, in this week's episode, I like that Boimler is learning that jobs can have multiple facets other than the obvious ones. The A-plot bothered me at first because I thought that the writers didn't realize Deanna was only an empath because she was half human, but it turned out I needn't have worried at all. I liked that the captain had to deal with a team of secret agent Lwaxanas that were also into her. I didn't think Deanna was only an empath because she was half human.
Oh, I think she's only... That's the reason she's only an empath. I think the other Betazoids have more... It was a confusing sentence. I think he thought that for a second they were going to make all the Betazoids only empaths. And then once they started actually telepathically communicating back and forth and stuff, that's more like what I guess Betazoids actually have. For a second, I'd forgotten that she was half human when I was watching this episode, and I was like, wait, Deanna can't do that. Oh, right, she's half human. I had to I had the exact opposite thought process.
Deanna can do that. Deanna did that with Riker. I think it's only with people she's bonded with.
They have to have a really strong connection or something.
Yeah.
They're Imzadi.
I never hear that word again. Anyway, Tim continues, I hope this isn't the last time they pop up. Maybe one episode a season? Next time, they'll probably have a mission at a mud spa for some reason. So many floating balls.
Yeah, I definitely think they could be a great addition to the sort of running gags on the show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. For Boimler, this was a lesson in learning something that he didn't know he didn't know. I was pleasantly surprised by that because at first I thought the joke was just that Starfleet security kind of sucks. Maybe that still is a joke in there because they missed a lot of trouble throughout the episode. The best security officer in all of Star Trek has definitely been Odo, am I right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't Starfleet.
That's true. And like, it is pretty funny they were like imitating Odo instead of like imitating Odo.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. Yeah. It's good. Damn it. Tim continues. And finally, the whole episode was an allusion to the seasonal menace. Usually that would be a wave of pollen, but in space, seasonal menaces are more like a wave of galactic destruction, either literal or metaphorical. Cue Picard saying, "Metaphor!" Looking at the episodes in the season so far, it's interesting that Boimler continues to learn and grow as an officer and leader in each one, even if he is only in the B-plot. For instance, just in these last 2 weeks, he's learned about conflict resolution and that a job can have more responsibility than what seems obvious. The others grow too, of course. But I'm pretty sure Boimler and Mariner are the only ones that have had big parts in each episode. Tendi and Rutherford didn't do much here. They mostly just made a human pyramid. Thinking of that scene, this series has set up what could be a sexploitative character with Tendi, and she definitely would have been in past Trek iterations, likely wearing a skin-tight alternate version of the uniform, if any clothes to speak of, but this series doesn't portray her in that way. Instead, she's a wholesome character, and in a show where the low-hanging fruit could be easy to grab, they decide to keep it covered instead. This is the case with most of the humor as well. They write a premise, there's an obvious version of the joke, but they most often pick a different way, and I find that really refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pleased with the season so far. I like the Lower Decks battle menagerie idea and the idea that the evil computer minds are behind the whole thing. I would love it if Jeffrey Combs was the season villain. Give us more Combs. A Combs villain has teeth.
Mm-hmm. Not this particular show's Combs villain.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I was. That's funny that Tim mentions Combs. I definitely like. For whatever reason, when they brought up the, this villain and how they, the captain said she'd never seen a ship like that or whatever, it made me think, like, maybe it's the AIs. Like, maybe this is where the AI's been going or whatever. And they're going around just, like, testing or killing off different ships from different races because they're just, indiscriminate in their destruction, or they're trying to learn something from them or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Tim finishes up saying, "Timba at rest, Odo in a bucket." Thank you so much, Tim, for writing in.
Yeah, was that the phrase that that character used in this episode? Was it Timba at rest?
No, I think he said.
What does he say?
Something like "Soka his eyes open" or something like that.
That's it. Yeah. It's interesting because I'm starting to recognize a few of those phrases. I still couldn't like come up with them, but I wonder if by the end of like a few seasons of this, if I'll have a few of those, like I have Kapla, like
yeah,
like a couple of those will actually mean what they mean to me, which would be really fun. Super cool.
And we've got an email from Stu Little.
Sweet Stu.
His email is titled "Vulcan is a Motherfucker." Stu says, "Hello. Good call last week, Dave. Maybe Matt and me are the same person as well. Maybe we're a TOS-style trio, with me as Kirk, Matt as Spock, and you as Bones. And the reason I haven't been on the show in person yet is because my ventriloquism skills aren't good enough for 3 voices. Anyway, on to this week's episode. I thought those Betazoids were carrying bongs for a second. I did not. I knew exactly what those were. I'm like, yeah, I've been to enough outdoor festivals.
Those are like cruise-style drinks.
Shirtless Billups being in the med bay made me think his virginity would be under attack again this week. Miglimo wanted regurgitated soup. Get it? Because he's a bird? Stop, you're killing me with his sharp wit. Officer wearing a hijab. We have our first official Muslim in Starfleet. We haven't already?
Yeah,
I thought we've seen that before.
I thought we'd seen that character before on Lower Decks.
Or somewhere. I thought we'd seen or had, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
My crew and I don't just get all emotional for no reason. That's what he said. Can you imagine if live-action Star Trek had this much wall running and somersaults in its fight scenes? Mm-hmm. It'd be a whole hell of a lot more like the original series. They got into fights every episode, it felt like.
Well, they get in fights, but those kinds of like high action jumping off walls and stuff, they didn't do that.
Oh yeah, they did. Not like the walls, but like when they were on like a planet or something, like Kirk would climb up on like freaking. I mean, he was doing like wrestling moves, like jumping off of the.
I know, but I think he's talking about this is more like a gymnastic style, like almost like lightsaber prequel lightsaber type battles instead of like it's just almost like a John Wick type thing. And like if they mix that kind of violence into Star Trek, you know, they I think they do more of that with like Discovery does a little bit of that, like cool action jumpy fight, you know.
I think they definitely did with Michelle Yeoh from time to time. But I feel like that's like a natural progression from the stuff they were doing in the original series.
Sure.
On planets and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's taken a long time for them to progress though, like because it feels like very much like the fights in even Deep Space Nine and stuff often feel like ooh. Like that kind of like you think of Cisco fighting, it's like he's still using like classic like James T. Kirk two-handed fists and stuff. Like it's just kind of like that doesn't look like modern action movies.
Yeah, I do remember there being a sizable jump on Enterprise.
That's very possible.
Because they were like bringing in choreographers to like figure out like the Suliban movements and stuff. And they would have them like on the planet doing all sorts of like, you know, Vulcan jiu-jitsu or something.
There's definitely some good action in that series. Most of it in the decontamination room.
Hells yeah. Rub that goo on your boo. Anyway, Stu.
It's good.
Stu continues. I have to know, was Boimler's mustache purple too? How does Mariner know Sarek had Ben-D syndrome, whatever it's called? Didn't they keep that private? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did at the time, but, you know.
Maybe it's come out since then.
When TMZ publishes their thing about it, I mean, everybody's going to know.
Federation TMZ, for sure.
You know, there's like a Vulcan who's like, who works for TMZ, who's just like hanging out outside of like Sarek's quarters, and they're like, "Oh, he passed away from Ben-D syndrome," and he's like, "Girl, clackety clackety clack," you know, like he's got the word on it now.
He has.
My sources say Ambassador Sarek has died.
That's why all the female names start with T. They have the T. I'm
not sure how I feel about that joke. Yay for solving a Vulcan character's problems by reinforcing their Vulcanness instead of encouraging more human-like behavior.
Yeah. Kinda. Right? Like, she's sort of like, it's more like she's like, apologizes for her Vulcan. I don't know, like, or like makes excuses for why she's not more Vulcan or whatever. I don't know, or like stereotypically Vulcan.
Yeah, it just I can kind of see both sides of the argument. I just kind of felt like it was an insecurity on her part.
Yeah, for sure.
Good overall episode with a nice focus on T'Lyn, and the 3 BIA agents were a fun addition I hope to see again. The B-plot was fine, though I feel the humor of, you think this is going to something dark or epic, but in fact, it's lame, is feeling a little, I don't know, I don't want to say hackneyed, but I feel they lean a little bit too often on building up something as one thing, then just going the complete opposite direction to subvert your expectations to the point That is not subverting them anymore because you've gotten used to it. On the other hand, the activities they do in the program fit with how in TNG era the leisure pursuits of Starfleet personnel seemed pretty beige and bland for the most part. Oh, we have holodecks where we can live out any sort of scenario we want, so let's use that to put on a play, or forget the holodeck. Let's go perform jazz and 10 forward. Warp's the only one who really uses it as basically a console for violent video games. Take care.
I don't know. Julian and O'Brien did it in like historical fashion. They'd always go and like fight. They're basically playing like Call of Duty Alamo.
Yeah, they did like pilots. They were like World War II pilots or something.
Yeah. And Paris and Kim would always do like the Captain Proton stuff.
Bride of Chaotica, yeah.
Yeah.
And Bashir and O'Brien kept doing like water rafting or something, and O'Brien kept
dislocating his shoulder or something.
Yeah, dislocating his shoulder. And we know Barclay used the hell out of it.
Yeah, Barclay used it for all manner of things.
Yeah, all manner. I think there's plenty of use of the holodeck for fun adventure type things, but you don't want to do that all the time, Stu. You don't want to like just hang out in the holodeck all day and always be running from gangsters or doing whatever the hell. Like you know, sometimes you just want to sit in your quarters and read a book. Sometimes you just want to do a Malcolm Reed puzzle, man.
Sometimes
you got to flip the switch and call on a read alert. That's not even my joke. That's Enterprise's joke. Do you remember that?
No, I don't at all.
Basically, Malcolm Reed on Enterprise creates the red alert, and he's like, I'm thinking of calling it the read alert.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do recall that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got.
Sweet. Well, thank you guys for joining us on Star Trek Universe this week. We'll be back next week with more Lower Decks and I guess more very short Trek. Do we have to?
I think there's one more, something like that.
I'm mostly joking. They're whatever. Like I don't like them, but like I don't care that they exist. They're not bothering me to exist. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think before the Lower Decks, me and Effie will be back with another TOS review. Because I've got another one in the can.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, we'll be back with that stuff very soon, my friends. Imzadi.
Oh, no.
Jolan True Imzadi.
No. Do not live long and prosper. I'm going to co-opt Effie's sign off for this one. Eat a dick.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Roberson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.